Hello, friends. So, today we have the most interesting topic of addiction: alcohol, tobacco, and all that jazz. I'm sure this is relevant to many of you. These days, alcohol is pretty much a normal thing. And on Fridays, of course, it's time to unwind. Of course, just a little wine or beer. Well, you might as well have a smoke since you've been drinking. This is normal for modern people, as I understand it. Let's expand on this topic in order to better understand what it is and what is happening. First of all, I believe that it is still necessary to make an adjustment regarding the definition of which hierarchical system a person belongs to. Believe it or not, my experience has shown that there are positive people and negative people. These have their own gas stations, some kind of base stations where they receive food, with the help of which they then. Machine running means life energy. Others get nourishment elsewhere. The energy of life force, the energy for movement, for growth, for some kind of interaction with society, with oneself, with family, with friends I don't know. And others take food from other sources. If it's a negative system, then alcohol doesn't really harm that much. Some people drink and become stronger, then smoke a bit more and feel better. That is, there are people, they're like, well, I don't know, they drink, and wow, they get even stronger. And that's it, they smoke some more, wow, even better. I know all this very well, and for some time I tested my body for resistance to various poisons and toxins. And I can tell you, I feel terrible. Well, honestly, I feel terrible. And I've always been sure that alcohol has been a problem for me. I've always felt that tobacco, alcohol, and everything else really negatively affects my health. At the same time, I had friends, and I saw a few people who, I don't know, it's like they just stuffed themselves with booze, and they're perfectly fine, not even getting drunk, and nothing happens to them at all. Everything's good, just like after a meal. So, other sources of energy, right? Let's put it this way. I believe that any kind of intoxication, any change in a person's internal chemistry through, whether it's pharmaceuticals or substances like mushrooms and other drugs. Yeah, alcohol. I mix all of this. At the bottom, a bunch of stuff, yeah, tobacco and weed. This is all about connecting to a negative system. Some thrive in leadership roles. A drink boosts their clarity. At the same time, they can perform quite significant functions in society, be in important positions, in serious places and as company managers. And some government bodies and such, and then just a drink. And they become even better, more confident, more structured, and everything becomes clearer. It's like fuel for them, really, something that allows them to carry those heavy energies, so to speak. And there are other people for whom all of this quickly and severely breaks them down. It's like fuel for him, really, something that allows him to carry those heavy energies, so to speak. And there are other people for whom all of this quickly and severely breaks them down. They quickly break down the nervous system through consumption. And basically, the psyche itself, the spine and the brain. It's like the circulatory system, the heart, the kidneys, the liver. Yeah, it really has a strong impact on the tissue structures. Basically, it's true for everyone, but for, let's say, the positive system, for bright people, they really break down quickly from this, Yes, to some extent our stuck emotions, these stuck psycho-emotional traumas, yes, they are blocked by these social frameworks and are blocked, let's say, by a certain ethics and morality of a person, and therefore cannot be expressed. In this sense, using certain substances, I don't know, like LSD, ayahuasca, or even alcohol, can help express this psycho-emotional issue. Well, if it happened that way, or a person really does go into immersion to work on himself, then yes, an expansion of consciousness occurs, and the person a little, so to speak, getting involved in the problem that prevents him from expanding. He begins to re-realize it, because it turns it inside out. In his mind, he can't escape it. He has to confront it no matter what. And indeed, at some point, this can help release those mental tightnesses, those psychological blocks. People are different, and everyone has different blocks. For some, it might help, while for others, it could just confuse them even more. Yeah, the guide is really important. The people around you, the company, the state of mind, and overall, the reason behind all of this and everything else. This is all, of course, extremely important. Intentions, so to speak, and all that. And I believe that true development, real growth, comes when a person understands that they already have everything they need, all this information. You perceive through clairvoyance, dreams, or visions is already within you. You're breaking down boundaries, removing filters that block this information. For many entrenched in social cliches, it's hard to grasp. Breaking down boundaries, removing filters and patterns that block this information inside you. For many stuck in these social cliches, hard to grasp, very hard to understand. Yes, for many who are deeply ingrained in these social cliches, this is extremely difficult to comprehend at all. It's extremely difficult to understand. In any case, I highly recommend that everyone start with empty bamboo techniques. Start with the techniques that I suggest, with attunement and so on. There it is, all harmonious, gradual, neat. It unfolds. Right. So you're not riding a wild horse, so to speak, galloping off into who knows where the first time. No, it happens the other way around, thanks to your consciousness, your inner impulse, and your desire to dive deeper into yourself. That's how it happens. Become attentive. Not like blasting off on a rocket to an unknown place. And gradually, step by step, year by year, you grow little by little. It's not the same as blasting off on a rocket to who knows where, with who knows what coming together or falling apart. So this is actually really risky. And I've seen a lot of people who, I don't know, maybe overdid it, whether they did it too often or something else. But clearly, some irreversible processes happened in their brains. Initially, the person was open to ideas. Later, something was off. I saw a person afterward, and you could just tell right away that something was seriously off, that something had been disrupted, you know. And of course, it's a tragedy. I personally think it's a truly terrifying horror, and an absolutely dreadful nightmare when a person indeed loses their humanity, when they lose their sense of adequacy in these practices, techniques, and in their search for themselves through various substances. They just lose themselves, and we see that in the end, a person becomes mentally unstable, inadequate. You can see, I'm not going to go all therapist on you and talk about things like head tilts, lingering gazes, or not blinking or whatever. We are talking about something that has no introduction or continuation. You can see that the person is really deep in their own world. And that's definitely scary. Because we lost the person. He's crazy. He fell out of the boundaries of decency, normalcy, yeah, and can't behave normally. So a person starts to show these disconnected movements, and there's this strange behavior, a really out appearance, right? So believe me, intoxication is a connection to a negative system. The negative system, yes, at the initial stages it always gives a very adequate vision, a feeling of strength. You know how it is, right? When you have a glass of red wine, you immediately get this feeling, like a real sense of strength. It's like, right now, I can conquer mountains, and the sea is just knee-deep. In reality, yeah, a person is, well, exactly the same. Right now, all the mountains are at shoulder height, and the sea is just knee-deep. In reality, yeah, a person is, well, exactly the same. His feeling of strength and power is just a switch in brain function. They may not act sprightly when thinking they're a superhero. But basically, in general and in particular, it doesn't really add any strength. And from the loss and cerebellar disruption, losing coordination, one may not act lively. Chasing power, mind can shift. In such state, linking to negativity, a demonic entity might come into play. In the pursuit of that power, in the chase for that feeling of control, a person's psyche can change. And while he's in that state, while he's feeling that way, along with connecting to the negative system, a demonic entity might come into play. If this happens, the person loses their memory. So what's happening, what he's doing, it's not really him anymore. This is already being done by this demonic entity, which, in principle, is simply frolicking. She entered someone else's body. She found it funny, she starts. Her swings. Mostly it's harsh aggression, absolutely inadequate behavior. So we see that a person's personality changes drastically. They really become someone else. They start talking in ways they normally wouldn't, acting in ways they usually don't, right? And most of the time, it all leans towards expressing that aggression. Yeah, expressing the essence of this demonic entity. It expresses its desire to do harm, if we put it mildly, or if we're being blunt, to kill. Its goal is to destroy, to kill, yeah. And it starts looking for any possible reasons to carry out, so to speak, that action, to launch an attack, to commit violence. And believe me, most of the people who, let's say, have been locked up for some actions, about 80% are actually in prison because they did it while under the influence of alcohol. They don't even remember part of what happened, how it went down. About 80% of them are actually in prison because they did it while drunk. They don't remember what happened. The person drank repeatedly, chasing power and control. His negative system caught him, grabbing his inner essence, injecting a demonic entity. This entity acts, causing harm or chaos. It pulls in and injects its demonic essence into that spot. It's already carrying out some kind of action, yeah, like beating someone up, killing, causing some kind of ruckus. Then they switch back, right? And the person says, I don't remember. I don't know how that happened. They tell him, yeah, you went over there and did this. And you punched that guy in the face. And then you said this and that. And then, I don't know, whatever. The person says, no, that wasn't me. I didn't do it. But everyone else saw it, it was him. Everyone saw it on the cameras, on their phones. It was all there. It was really him. That is, you see, this is how it happens. Of course, it is a great tragedy. It's especially tragic how ignorant people are and how they don't understand what's really happening when they put any kind of chemicals into their bodies. Yeah, we can start lamenting about how everything we eat is some kind of chemical substances. And we have a whole lab of chemicals inside us. And we can concoct any drug or anything else in there, right? It can all just come together on its own. But believe me, it doesn't just come together on its own. On the contrary, our body is designed so wisely that it strives, yes, to restore balance in every possible way. And instead of helping it get back to a good, balanced, proper state of harmony and coexistence with itself and the world around it, harmoniously, A person, on the contrary, tries to use some chemicals, pharmaceuticals, alcohol, or psychoactive substances or tobacco to reach a certain state of confidence, to harness that power to become stronger themselves. This is a mistake, especially for those whose souls are bright. They have the hardest time. It's a mistake. They fall into intoxication. It's the hardest for them. They immediately fall under a heavy, like being hit in the head with a sledgehammer, serious intoxication, serious disruption. Because their bodies, their energy fields, are completely adapted to these energies. People get poison toxins. These kill states, not from good events, from normal disruption. Positive channels for info turn off, demonic essence enters. Boundaries drop, intoxication connects entity. This issue is widespread today. And it gets worse. The longer he stays in that state, yeah, of course, there are different people, some trained for years. I remember all of that perfectly. I trained myself back in the day, but it's a madhouse. It's complete foolishness and ignorance, not knowing your own body, not understanding yourself and your psyche, and not wanting to understand. The current situation is that the global world is indeed now in unprecedented turmoil. Already more than, I don't know, 80% of people on planet Earth, especially in places where they've legalized things like weed, alcohol is allowed everywhere, and they're taking all these pills, some for sleep, some for eating, some for driving. I was recently in some countries and saw all these little shops. And right there, there's a little shop with those knuckle dusters and knives. So here we have calming pills. And just so you know, those knives. Well, friends, is there any intelligence here? Is there at least some consciousness there? Where is all this going? We don't need to be some great programmers or chess masters to figure out 2 plus 2, right? Just look at all these movies, right? Everyone is drinking everywhere. Alcohol is central. Serious series involve smoking or drugs. There they all are with a glass. So there is ice and some kind of martini or something. If it's a serious series, then they're either smoking or doing some kind of drugs. This is a specific advertisement. Why don't you show, actually? I'm talking to all the cool directors out there. Why not show the work on oneself, the successful kind? When a person started to engage in self-development and succeeded, and he was a flawed freak who didn't understand himself and ruined the lives of everyone around him, and he became a wonderful, so to speak, millionaire, yes, successful, and there, I don't know, he's now traveling there, I don't know, he lives happily there with his beloved woman, they have children there, everything is good. Why not make movies like Getting Out of the Hole You've Dug for people? And show them that he did these techniques, he meditated somewhere. I don't know, well, if you like exotic things, well, let it be in India, in Nepal. There he was meditating, wandering around with some gurus, then he studied psychology and did all sorts of other things. In the end, he made it. He understood, and you can show these structures. You have computer graphics and all that now. Show it like it really is. You can illustrate all of this so clearly. All these dysfunctions, all these ways of working through dysfunction, all these feelings and emotions, they can all be conveyed. How a person unpacks a clenched and broken heart, which was completely shut down and hardened by the social structure and, let's say, those people who were around a person at the time of his formation. He completely closed himself off and ossified there. And so, through the process of meditative practices, the person opened up and started living again, shedding that crazy persona and turning on his consciousness, right? No. They film how girls are with each other, and they call it love. What's the point? Why, right? So there are those who order this, which means there are those who pay for it. So who pays for this? I want to say something to you. Do you understand what exactly you're doing? What has the light of God given you to throw these ideas out to the masses? What's with the little pills and same-sex relationships? This is a negative system. These are specific demonic entities, and their purpose is simple: to destroy. And that's how it happens. Those who are dumber are destroyed. Those who don't understand get destroyed. And in this life, try to figure out what is where. There's much information, much going on around us, many of these huge data sets being thrown at us. Everyone claims to know you. Right now, every other person will tell you everything about yourself. Every third person will throw some runes to see what was and what will be, whatever calms their heart. Every third person acts like they're a psychic. Half eat mushrooms, half smoke, half do who knows what. They see something. It's unclear what state they're in, but they really see something. Sometimes they talk about the topic. Yeah, destroying their brains. Well, they tune into something, see something. And I'm telling you, there's no need to chase after superpowers. There's no need to chase after the feeling of power and control. There's absolutely no need to chase after each and every second of good, fun times, every single moment. Yeah, and then in detrimental states. If you're feeling depressed, find your balance, find your harmony. Try to discover your true, stable, good, authentic, and pure state and peace of mind. And from there, you can gradually move towards a harmonious state of inner love and peace, a proper interaction between your organs and cells. Believe me, that's when aging starts to slow down a bit. Then your mind starts to think more clearly, and you begin to see more opportunities, where to grow, instead of getting caught up in a negative system and just giving away your free will. Those who are plugged and have some kind of their own artificial intelligence, they tap into this collective consciousness. They become like zombies. They have some kind of their own collective intelligence that is connected. He doesn't understand why he went there. What's up, Pasha? Just like that, just like that, just like that. The person went somewhere, who knows where. They do who knows what. Why? So, he's being led. He doesn't even understand why he went there, what he forgot, what he was doing. Nothing. Going to hang out. And there they swarm, like bees. I'm telling you, believe me or not, as you wish. These hooks keep you, and I can help. Look into the camera, and I'll disconnect you from triggers. If friends or loved ones are involved, hooks return. You just simply need to look right into the camera, and I'll disconnect you from those unnecessary things that trigger you, that pull you back into those dependencies. I'll take those hooks off you completely and permanently. But you have to remember and know clearly that your friends, your loved ones, the ones around you, if they're involved in this, they'll put those hooks back on you. And the second time, this topic might not work. Change environment to escape routine. Move, work on self, India. If you can't break away from your environment, you're already in dependency. To start fresh, move somewhere new, ideally in India. There you start to see the world differently when you begin to notice what's really going on. If you can't move from there to somewhere where you can start life anew, not get involved in old mechanisms, consciously observe yourself, consciously work on yourself, well, preferably somewhere like India. You look at the world differently when you start to see what's going on there. In some villages, well, in pilgrimage places, read on the internet where. That's the way it is. That was my path. I spent about 1.5 to 2 years cooped up in a house in the village, hardly going out at all while I was quitting. And then I went to India, traveled to these holy places, started doing more and more. And books, and this self-observation. I did it. I managed to rewire myself pretty quickly. I gave it all up. I realized perfectly that when I start hanging out with friends who are still into it, it all connects back to me. I'm having those thoughts again. Those desires are coming back. And if you don't have your own core, if you haven't found some inner strength, your happiness inside, it's there within everyone, then you might get swept away again. If you've already found that happiness, you can track those channels through it, let them go, disconnect, and move forward. If you have already found this happiness, you can use it to track these channels, reset them, turn them off, and move forward. So friends, it's all about the practice of disconnecting from dependency. Let's get comfortable, feel the ground beneath us, and say thank you to it. Let's smile. We take a breath through our legs into our belly, smile at our heart, and open our head to the light. And internally, it's like we step outside of our body, becoming aware from behind. So, your body is sitting there, but it's like you're standing behind it, looking at yourself, at the back of your head, as if from a third-person perspective. And the body is empty. And this empty body easily lets energy and the programs that I'm about to give you flow through it. Congratulations, friends, to all of you who really needed this. I'm sure they got my message. I'm glad you're watching us. I'm glad you're interested in my ideas. Come join us for our retreats, take our courses. Thanks, everyone. Bye for now.